Hi everyone, this is my annual, I suppose, update video. So effectively a review of the past year and what's coming in the year ahead. And of course, the times that we're living in right now, that phrase takes on a whole new meaning at a completely different level. It's obviously difficult to review the year I've had, because running this channel has obviously been a part of it, but I suppose a smaller part in terms of my time and with everything else that we've had to sort of deal with at work, etc. Well, for me anyway, I mean, I've been working from home, but the pressures of COVID on family, work, etc. Taking care of the kids, etc. when they've not been able to go to school, all that kind of stuff. Has meant that this year, which is coming to an end very shortly, has been like no other. Well, certainly not in my memory, but I'm not old enough to remember, other things that have happened in the past, wars, etc. So even my parents aren't old enough to remember the Second World War. So this is very, very different to anything that most of us have ever experienced. And so when I do these videos, it's basically a review of what's happened this year, which to a certain extent has been dominated by COVID, and also what's going to happen in the coming year. And of course, with COVID, it's difficult to know or to predict, what I'm going to be doing in terms of, am I still going to be working from home? Probably. Will I be traveling to work a bit more? Possibly. And will that affect basically the channel? I don't know, because work at the moment is very busy. But overall, my intention is to keep the channel running for as long as I possibly can. And as some of you who've been subscribers for a few years will know, that when the channel was set up in 2015, it was primarily to share my DXing, long wave, medium wave, shortwave, and now of course it encompasses that and amateur radio. Because I've gone from foundation to intermediate to full license in the duration of the existence of the channel. Well, actually in 3 years. So I'm going to start at the beginning, and it's kind of weird for this year, because the beginning kind of feels like when I went to Australia, which was in March. So I went there on business with someone that I work with. And we were there for 8 days, and that kind of feels where this year starts, because it was only when we returned from Australia that the first pandemic was basically hitting, and we went almost immediately into lockdown. Australia was great, but I don't recommend doing what I did and going there for 8 days. But while I was there, of course, I took the PL 880 with me, and I copied some interesting stuff. Voice of Vietnam 4, which I think I've copied only once from Europe. The Solomon Islands, I have copied them several times, and of course I think I have copied them once in 5 years. 4KZ in North Queensland, WWVH Hawaii, obviously, and I even copied Shannon Volnet from the other side of the world, which was fantastic. And we weren't there very long, but we did have a couple of days off, and we went to Australia Zoo, and some of you will have seen the videos taken at Australia Zoo, which is the zoo that Steve Irwin set up and is going from strength to strength. So it was brilliant to go to Australia. It was an absolute nightmare traveling basically for 24 hours and then being there only 8 days and traveling for 24 hours home again. And I wouldn't do that again. And I definitely wouldn't do that again. But I would definitely recommend going to Australia. I've been, as you know, all over the world. North America, I've been to most states in the United States. I've been to Canada, South America, all over Europe, etc., Japan, Korea, God knows where. And I think Brisbane, Australia is my favorite place in the world right now. And given that I'm probably not going to be traveling again for quite a long time, it will remain my favorite place in the world for quite a long time, until I'm fortunate enough perhaps to go somewhere that I like even more. But amazing place. So that's kind of where the year sort of starts, the trip to Australia. We got back at the end of March and went straight into lockdown. And which was obviously a little bit surreal. But what happened was, I can't even remember how, but once the initial lockdown was initiated, I just thought, well, I'm definitely going to have more time to do radio stuff, because I'm basically going to be at home all the time, and so is everybody else. And I'm fortunate that, you know, I've got a garden big enough to put antennas up, etc., large antennas. Other people haven't, and I can't remember what inspired me to do it, but I just thought, well, I'm going to just record a video, just showing people what I'm doing in the shack that first weekend, which I did. And it's difficult to believe that as I sit here today, I've recorded 40 of those videos. You've seen the 40th one, which was a sort of short version for Christmas. And they've been incredibly popular. Well, when I say incredibly popular, they've been relatively popular. If I publish them on time, which is usually on a Saturday morning, they usually have 500 or 600 views. There are some that have been lower, but sort of typically 500 or 600 views, which is way more popular than most of my other videos. And people do genuinely seem to like them. And when COVID is over, I'll probably carry on doing them. I'm pretty sure that people get quite a lot out of them, which is great for me, because that's what it's all about. And, you know, it's a bit of effort to record them, to do it every week, which I've managed to do. But that's what running a YouTube channel is all about: putting content out there that you know people are going to enjoy, that perhaps they're going to find useful, and which is why I've sort of talked about some of the antennas that I've built, etc. Yeah, that was basically the start of it. So coming back from Australia and straight into a lockdown, and that then sort of catalysed this idea of publishing a weekend update video every weekend, which I've done since, and I will continue to do so. So then what happened? So in June, I decided to buy an ICOM 7300. And I'd been mulling that over for a long time, but I did, and I got a very good deal, I think. Well, I got a good deal from ML&S. I got the radio with a power supply for free. Probably the best thing I've ever done in terms of what my ham radio kind of activities. I didn't really need it, and this is the thing. I already had an FT991 and the IC756. Which are two perfectly good radios, very good radios actually. But I thought I'd treat myself and buy myself a new radio, and I'd never look back really. I'm not surprised that about 50% of the people, at least that I work, are using a 7300 or have got one. And in fact, that happened last night. Brilliant radio, you've seen the videos. Not bad for DXing as well. For ham radio, for the money, for 1,200 quid, you literally can't go wrong. And yeah, I'm glad I bought it. So that was in June. In August, almost to the day, 5 years after I set the channel up, we hit 1 million views. So 1 million views in 5 years, which was amazing. And it was also amazing the timing of it, because it was literally to the day. I think I set the channel up on the 5th of August 2015, and on the 5th of August 2020 it clicked over 1 million views, which was something, I can tell you. And in fact, while I'm on that subject, so I'll just share with you the stats. So in the lifetime of the channel, well, obviously now it's December, it's the channel's had 1.2 million views. So from August to now, it's gone up another 200,000. 35.3k, well, okay, that's 35,300 hours of watch time, 4,400 subs, estimated revenue of, you don't need to know that, not enough, not very much. So that's the lifetime. So that's in 5 years basically. And in the lifetime of the channel, the most popular video is my unboxing and first impressions of the Sangean ATS 909X, which has had over 23,000 views. That's followed by the unboxing of the Texan S8800, 18,000 views. My review of the Texan PL310 ET is third with 14,000 views. And then fourth is the unboxing of the XH Data D808 with 10,000 views. There's a theme developing here. Unboxing videos that are very popular. And then fifth is setting up to test the Bonito Bonnie whip against the Wellbrook ALA 1530. That's a video that is 4 years old almost, and that's 10,000 views. So, and if I keep going down, I'm just trying to find a relatively recent video. Let's have a look. Can't see anything, got tinsel in the way of the screen. Relatively recent. Well, there's a video about my SCX80. This is the wideband vertical HF antenna that I was using last year, which had 8,800 views. But anyway, you get the idea. Basically, in the lifetime of the channel, 1.2 million views. The Sangean unboxing, the Texan S8800 unboxing, the XH Data unboxing. These are the top videos. And then if you break it down into a year, so the last 365 days, the channel's had 408,000 views. So a big proportion of the total views have come this year. But of course, as the subscriber count grows, the views increase sort of not exponentially, but non-linearly. 14,000 hours of watch time, 1,400 new subscribers this year, and not very much revenue. And then the top videos in the past year are how to set up the Yaesu FT991 for FT8, the Texan S8800 unboxing. See, that's still right up there. And then what's also interesting, so here we go. How I built a simple 160 meter top band transmitting antenna for £4.50. That's had nearly 5,000 views, and I published that video on the 10th of June. So that just goes to show that that's a relatively recent video that's kind of up there with the top viewed videos on the channel. So there you go. So it just goes to show that it took 5 years to get to 1 million views, but in the last 365 days, the channel has attracted over 400,000. So that, there's a website called Social Blade where you can sort of measure the performance of your channel, and it sort of predicts how many subscribers you'll have and views you'll have in the next sort of 1, 2, 5, 10 years, etc. And it's like I said, the more subscribers you obtain, the higher the average number of views per video, the more total views, etc. But at the end of the day, that's not really, if you compare my channel to Gilles, official shortwave SWL, it's got like 25,000 subscribers, got 5 times as many subscribers. And I don't know how long that channel's been running, but I think that the rate at which I pick up new subscribers and the rate at which, I think is slow. I think it's slow as a function of the number of videos I put out, because this year I've put out over 450 videos. So I'm averaging sort of over one video a day for a year, and and I picked up 1,400 subscribers. So you could probably say that I average 2 new subscribers per video, which is, I think, quite low. But then I don't sit around for days and weeks, using sort of very high production values, and my videos are basically recorded and then we move on. So, but anyway, there you go. This calendar year, 408,000 views, which I think is pretty good. In terms of new radios, apart from the FT817, the 7300, there's been the FT817, which is the little 5-watt QRP transceiver, Yaesu, brilliant little radio, bought in September. I paid 275 quid for that, which I thought was a bargain. You've seen some videos on that. It's a brilliant receiver as well. Having said that, I've bought 2 nickel metal hydride rechargeable battery packs for it. I've bought a power supply to charge those batteries up for it, which is horrendous. It's switch mode and it's so noisy it's unusable except for recharging the internal battery pack. And I bought a 45 watt power amplifier, for it, so that can also be run on a little lead acid battery, so that I can go portable and I don't get stuck with sort of 2.5 watts, which is a bit of a struggle on HF. I know it's possible to work the world on 1 watt or half a watt, but you know, if you're going to be going portable on a regular basis and you're using 2.5 watts, you're going to find yourself struggling. So with this amplifier, if you put 3 watts into it, you get about 30 out. So this is all extra money, but a brilliant radio, and that's really the only new radio, the only other sort of new radio this year. Next year, I'm going to try and buy another portable. I'm just trying to think if I bought a second-hand portable this year. I don't think I have. The one that I'm waiting for, of course, is the Eaton Elite satellite, which is based on the E1. I've heard no update on that for quite a long time, so I've got no idea where it is. I think production had been delayed because of COVID. When that radio comes out, if it's what it's supposed to be, which is basically a modern sort of rehash of the Eaton E1 with the same internals, then that's a radio that I would recommend everybody buys if you can afford it. I had an original E1 and I wish I'd never sold it, but I promised it to somebody and I did sell it, and I wish I hadn't. So that's a radio I'll be buying. What I won't be buying is the PL990, because I've read some reviews and basically the performance is so similar to the PL880 and it's so expensive. It's like, you know, it's 300 quid or more. Ridiculously expensive, and I've got a PL880, so I won't be buying that. But feel free to comment if there are any other new radios coming out that I'm not aware of, because I do want to buy a new radio. At the moment, the PL880 was my go-to radio for when I'm traveling. Love that radio. You know, sensitivity and selectivity as good as the Eaton, but better audio, better ergonomics, nicer field controls, just feels like a bit more quality. Even though the Eaton satellite and the XH Data D808, I think in terms of ultimate performance are there, but that is the PL880 is my go-to receiver. In 2021, I'm hoping, well, what I'm planning to do is do a bit more hardcore Mediumwave DX. I haven't, very rarely this year have I recorded the Mediumwave spectrum overnight and then analysed the recordings, you know, to look for interesting DX. I used to do that a lot, but I just haven't had time this year. So in 2021, I'm going to try and do some more of that, because that's the way to really uncover some really nice DX. I mean, I hear transatlantic signals all the time: VOCM on 590, Bloomberg on 1130, Toronto on 1010, etc. But if you want to hear some really interesting DX, the best way to do it is to record the medium wave spectrum and then analyze those recordings. So I'm going to do that in 2021. And there's going to be hopefully some portable ham radio operations with the FT817. I'm going to try and get out and about and set up a portable station. I've got everything I need now, basically. I need to sort of figure out an antenna, but that should be pretty straightforward. The rest of the hardware I've got the radio, I've got the amplifier, I've got 2 lead acid batteries to run everything on, and etc. I've got little portable matching unit, so I'm going to be doing some of that as well. And then whatever takes me, really. As I keep saying, you know, in the times we live in, having ham radio and amateur radio, well, DXing, shortwave listening, etc. in your life, it just means that I personally, you know, you never get bored. There's always something to do. There's 100 things that I could do in the shack at any one time, and there's no doubt that has helped me a lot this year. And obviously, I have to say thanks to everybody, all the supporters and friends of Oxford Shortwave Log. There's way too many. There's over, there's 4,400 of you now. The support that I get from you guys and the sort of regular communications through you dropping a line to me via the comments page is greatly received. I can't get around to other sites anymore. There's just too many of you. I wish I could. I wish I could employ somebody to answer on my behalf, but I can't, because that would be way too expensive and slightly ridiculous. But I wish I could get around to everybody's. But when you've got over 4,000 subs, and a lot of them have got channels with content, it's just impossible. But obviously, my thanks go to the to all of the subs and the friends of the channel. And like I keep saying that, from way back to the start, people like Tam and Mateus and Klaus Puth, those 3 guys were the guys that inspired me greatly, and they're a big those 3 guys in particular are why I'm still here in 2020, and I've sort of transitioned from just a DXer, but also a DXer into ham radio, and to get my full license this year, of course, was brilliant. But like I said before, I won't ever stop DXing. That's something that I'll always do. But at least now I can do both, and with no more studying, which is great, which feels really great. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for your friendship. Thanks for your support. Long may the channel continue. Long may Longwave continue. And I hope everybody keeps safe. I hope you keep well. Let's look forward to a much better 2021. Let's hope the vaccines do their job and that people take them, and that when I'm doing this video at the end of 2021, the situation across the world is completely different. But other than that, I wish you great DX, a very happy new year, and fingers crossed that this is the point where things start improving in the next sort of few months. So yeah, everybody keep everything crossed. Thanks for watching. 73.